All right, so let's get to your animal energy for the month. Animal energy for Virgo for March. Really good. Okay. Happy to see that. So you guys got the lion, which is perfect. So the lion equates to the King of Wands in the tarot. Now, here's why this is so perfect for you. So the King of Wands is master of timing, right? He is so much the master of timing that he gets to sit down like on his throne, right? So think of the Knight of Wands, right? Which is really busy running around doing the most, right? Kind of like the feet underneath the water of the swan, right? But the King of Wands gets to sit on his throne because he has truly mastered when to move, when to be still, what is worth his time, what is not. He's highly creative. He strikes gold every single time because he's learned many lessons to get to that level of discernment that he enjoys, right? So the fact that you're coming up as the Lion or the King of Wands for this month really speaks of such an emphasis on timing, especially around the work that you love to do or projects that you are passionate about, right? This also speaks of being in a position of authority, power, leadership. So you could also be feeling a bit of the weight of the world or a little bit extra pressure or a little bit extra, eyes on you or focus or dependence on you. And again, I keep going back to that swan with everything appearing okay, but then underneath a lot is going on. I would say within this to remember to self-care and nurture and look after your own needs as well as others during the month of March as well. But overall, the line coming through is such a beautiful energy of power, authority, leadership, and passion. Really, really beautiful. And strength, of course, of course. Okay. Let's see what's going on for Virgo. What's going on for y'all for March? Did you know that like my two best friends in the world are Virgos? Like I really, I really get along with Virgos very much. Right. Okay. So coming off the top here, we have the Tower. So really interesting, right? Remember what I said about that anxiety and the difference of how things appear versus how they really are, right? The Tower is about a big shift, a big change, and things sort of crumbling, right? Now, what's interesting about this, with what I was picking up about your timeline or wanting things a particular way, may not necessarily line up with others' ideas or the universe and how things work out for you this month, and that the path of least resistance is the path of flow. And then we had the Tower coming in here. I'm really hearing this. It's about it really, really surrendering to things as they want to happen. Again, back to this King of Wands. Knowing what is worth your time and effort and knowing when to walk away. That is key. Okay? Remember, the Tower only comes up to rearrange you and align you to your highest and best path because you've gone off it a little bit. So it's just picking you up and putting you back where you're meant to be. Okay, that's sort of the medicinal way to view the Tower energy, as it were. Okay, Scorpio energy there. Okay, you know what I also like to say about the Tower? I feel the need to talk about that a little bit more. Let me just get this. Okay, like why is she looking at me all knowing like that? Okay, don't worry, we'll get there. So the Tower, these are the levers. Well, yeah, they're there, right there. These are the levers from the Lover's Key, Gemini energy falling from the Tower. So why that's important? The Tower for me happens when we make more fear-based choices than love-based choices, right? Gemini energy, the Lover's Key, is very much about love-based choices, right? So then we have them depicted here on the Tower as falling from the Tower of their own fear, of their own fear-based choices, of them making choices that weren't aligned with what they truly felt or needed, but aligned with their ego or fear, etc., right? So that feels important here. Fear-based choices versus love-based choices. Think about these shifts that are going to happen for you this month, about this momentum and these changes. Really consider the choices that you made that led you to where you are. And I feel like that could be incredibly helpful and insightful to you. And it may help you regain a sense of perspective when things get a little intense. Okay? It's not as intense as it seems. I want to say to you. Okay? Ten of Swords, though. So let's try. It's not as intense as it seems. Ten of Swords. An ambulance. So 10 of Swords is very much about a full, complete ending to a cycle. It's about the releasing of things, the letting go, but not always by our own will. It's kind of like a forced let go, like an ending that we didn't necessarily choose. Right? That's more of an 8 of Cups. When it's our choice, it's 8 of Cups. When it's not our choice, it's 10 of Swords. So there's definitely going to be some endings. But this could be also an aspect of yourself that's coming up for review to say, can you just release your need for an example? Can you release your need to control everything? Can you release your need to be busy all the time, even though, especially the King of Wands, even though it doesn't necessarily serve you? There's this aspect of like, I want to keep going. I need to be doing. I need to, right? There's a concept called drivers within a particular branch of psychology. And these, I've been learning about it recently. There's a driver, I feel like I'm not going to name it exactly, but it's basically a driver that's about always be moving, always be busy, always be doing, right? And it's this real resistance to being still or having nothing to do or being perceived as, you know, inactive or lazy or whatever that is. It could be that, just as an example, there could be something like that that comes up within you that may not be your choice, to kind of come up and go, I can't do this anymore, either to myself or someone around you is going, hey, I love you, but this has got to shift and end and change because I'm worried, or I think that there's a better way to go about doing what you're doing, or whatever this is. I do feel like there's a group of you guys, though, that this has to do directly with your confidence around the work that you do. I feel like we need a boost of confidence around the work that you do in some way, shape, or form. And it could be around your decision-making abilities or your point of authority with the Lion. What else is going on? So we got the Queen of Swords in reverse. So let's flip her right side up for the time being. So Queen of Swords in the upright is about high discernment, decision-making ability. She is the expert editor. She knows what to cut out and when, and she has no qualms about it, though. It's air energy, right? So Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. So it's interesting that she's coming up here as the editor and as the change maker, because we have changes here, big change with the Tower, change with the 10 of Swords, sometimes a forced hand with that, to the Queen of Swords, which goes, I do not suffer fools gladly. I'm going to make changes where they need to be made. And I'm not necessarily going to let emotion or sentimentality enter into the equation, because it's not personal. It's business, is what her kind of tagline is. Now, the fact that she's in reverse, you know, this can be acting against your own best interest when she comes up in the reverse and making decisions based on, how do I say this? It's kind of like a remnant of making fear-based choices, but it's really more about operating under the belief that I need to do X, Y, and Z, look out for me, do this, because if I want to do right, I need it, you know, I have to do it myself. Or I need to do all of this because no one else is going to help me. Or I need to go about it this way because it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It's a bit of that underhanded or going about things. This could be in any given scenario where there is a distinct lack of decorum or faith or the above board way of going about things as far as decisions or edits or choices are concerned. So it's interesting here. Again, this can also be an aspect of you where you may be even doubting your ability to make the best decision available because your brain could be feeling a bit overwhelmed. Again, back to that low grade anxiety and that swan of everything appearing one way, but under the surface being, you know, ooh, not so great. Then we have the Queen of Swords in reverse, and we're talking about what's above the water versus what's below the water. I'm getting from this as well, ask for help when and as you need it. True strength is vulnerability. Brene Brown, right? Getting asked for help when you need it, and know that that's an important part of being a leader, of, you know, stepping into your full power and authority, is asking for help when you need it, like the lion would, right? Yeah, it's a distinct Emperor energy here that I'm picking up on. All right, clarifier for the Tower. Wow. So you got the High Priestess in reverse. Now, when the High Priestess comes up in reverse, well, in the upright, she's about connecting in with your intuition to discern a truth that is only available to you in the stillness, right? Then we have this in reverse. This is a resistance to be still. This is a resistance to go inward and access what is inside of you. When she's in reverse, it's about someone or, a group that feels the need to do the most of the time. And then we have it clarifying the Tower. You are really being asked to reassess how you do things and be a master of timing. Back to that line in the King of Wands. There's information that is available to you, but only if you're still, only if you make the time to be quiet, to meditate, to sit in contemplation, to journal, to whatever that is for you. But it just feels like, again, with this anxiety, it feels like I want to, it's like the best way to manage that really is to allow it and to be still. Not run away from it, not avoid it, not push it down, not pretend like it's not there, but to really allow it to inform you, because that anxiety is coming up to try to tell you something, right? Let's get a clarifier for the Ten of Swords here. Clarifier for the, that was quick. Okay, Virgo. 5 of Swords to clarify the 10 of Swords. So this is making sense. Like we said, we said the 10 of Swords could be about, aspects of yourself coming up to be released, right? Needing to go about something a different way may or may not be your choice as to do so. The 5 of Swords is about you and or other people acting outside of their integrity and going about things in a bit of an underhanded or backdoor kind of way, right? This is the opposite of integrity, right? And we have it with the 10 of Swords. I feel like with you guys, there are ways in which you are acting against your own best interests. And it's going to be different for everyone, but there's a sense or some sort of situation in which you are disempowering yourself or allowing yourself to be disempowered. It's something within that. I feel like for someone specific, there's something about someone taking credit for the work that you do or vice versa. There's something about it just feels a bit, or maybe you're doing more than you get paid. Like maybe you're doing other people's jobs as well as your own, or you're working longer hours than you're actually paid for. There's a way that you are disservicing yourself, or maybe you're not asking for as much as you're worth, but you're being asked to bring that to an end. Think about the ways in which you are not servicing or honoring yourself and what your true worth is. Something in that. Okay. Maybe your focus is a lot on, a job, but you've forgotten like what you're really passionate about and what you're really here on this earth to do. Maybe you're here to create some sort of art, but you've gotten really bogged down in your day job that was supposed to support your art. But in doing the day job, you kind of forgot about the art. Right? Just think about, ways in which that might manifest for you, right? Queen of Swords in reverse. So happy to see that. So King of Pentacles to clarify the Queen of Swords in reverse. So let's talk about an abundance mindset. King of Pentacles is so brilliant, along with this beautiful buffalo energy here. It's very much about that abundance mindset where the King of Pentacles understands that time and money are energy. They're both currencies, yes, but they're both energy. Right? And there are aspects of discernment around if time is money, or however you want to word that. Again, back to this King of Wands. How do you spend your time? That feels like the biggest question of this whole reading is, how do you spend your time? Are you getting everything out of it that it's worth? How could you better work with time so that it can serve your greater goals and purpose in your own personal manifestation and abundance? Is there time that you could use to promote yourself, nurture yourself, network, a million different things, right? How could your time be better managed in order to serve what you deserve and what your needs are? Because it feels like with this swan energy and this hermit that refuses to be still, right? It really feels like there's this strong sense of you missing out on an opportunity to connect with the powerful aspect of you that knows exactly what you need and what needs to be released in order to have more time for what you actually want to do or manifest, is what this feels like, Virgo. These are two very powerful energies, Buffalo and Lion. You're being asked to step into those and embody those from a place of belief and confidence. There's a lot more ease and flow that wants to happen within your situation, but I feel like there's an aspect of you cutting yourself off at the knees, heels, something like that, in favor of something else. And I don't know what that something else is. If that's a boss that asks more than they should, or if it's something going on with the family where it's like it's something about that. It feels like an imbalance. And you're being asked to step into King of Wands and become master of your time, right? Let's get an oracle. Oh, God. We got 2 for 1. I really like these. Okay, so we got peace and awakening. So we were talking about this aspect of awakening with like, let's wake up and realign and really go with what we need and remember that 10 of Swords, an end to the way of doing something. With the 5 of Swords, maybe an end to an aspect of ourselves or our tendencies to self-sabotage or our tendencies to whatever XYZ it is, to put others before ourselves, whatever that is. We are awakening into a new way of being. We're seeing ourselves where we're realizing how we are not always necessarily giving yourselves your best chance or operating within your own best interest. Right? And then we have peace. Now, what's really brilliant about this? Look at this. Look, it's the lion and the lamb. Do you remember that, what I was saying about that Brene Brown quote, true strength is vulnerability? And we have the lion and the lamb, which is the symbol of strength being vulnerability, because the lion represents strength and the lamb represents vulnerability. Fascinating, right? True strength is vulnerability. So ask for help when and as you need it, but also allow yourself to be vulnerable with yourself. And really assume that high priestess position and understand that you deserve everything that you want. You do. You deserve to be compensated for the work that you do. You deserve to love the work that you are compensated for. You deserve to have healthy, functioning, high vibrational relationships. You deserve all that stuff. You deserve a happy, abundant, wonderful home that is your safe haven. You deserve health, wealth, prosperity. You deserve all of those things. You deserve peace, all of those good things. What could be getting in the way of that you can assume the Queen of Swords position and remove as the King of Wands in divine timing, you know, using discernment and your instinct, right? This is coming up for you in order to clear some of this energy so that you can step into the King of Pentacles that you are meant to be, that you are, but there's other things going on around you that are acting as an impediment to the full actualization of this energy within you, the King of Pentacles. Okay? But you got this, Virgo. It's a bit intense, but you absolutely got this.